Alright, everybody, apologies for the delay there, we're just having to sort out a few things at the last minute, but everything is going just hunky-dory right now. And as I say that, we are going to be going over to Drakodan running Sparkster for the Super Nintendo. Take it away, my man.
Thank you very much. Yep, so as said, I'm Drakodan again. With me again is Factories Far Away, and this is going to be Sparkster on normal difficulty. The difficulties in this game just make you play different levels of the game pretty much, so I'll go into that in a bit more detail when I get started. Ready to give you guys a countdown? Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Thank you guys. So as I mentioned, this is Sparkster and this is the normal difficulty. On easy difficulty, you only play 5 of the regular 8 stages in this game. This being normal, I'm going to play all 8 stages, and hard has a hidden 9th stage. So I've already seen a bit of rocket boosting based movement. If you've seen Rocket Knight Adventures before on the Genesis, this is of the same series, so it's the same movement tech. Please, man, damage boosts going in correctly. When I'm not able to use the rocket boost, which is fairly sporadic since I need to charge the bar in the top right by attacking and holding the button, then the other form of movement I want to try and exploit is this rolling attack. But I can't infinitely use the rolling attack because there's like a hidden value in the game, a hidden meter that increases the more you roll, and when it reaches a maximum value, you actually get exhausted for about 3 seconds and lose control of Sparkster completely. So I'm constantly needing to fight against the exhaustion meter increasing, and so I'm consequently picking where to use my boosts and picking where to use rolling attacks. It typically happens when you roll 6 times in a row, but there's a couple of ways to mitigate it. You can either just let it drain naturally a bit by not constantly roll attacking, or alternatively, you can simply take damage. Because when you take damage in this game, it actually completely resets the exhaustion meter. So for quite a few of the boss fights in the game, this is going to be exploited so that I can damage boost and just continually deal high damage to all the bosses and the enemies in general. The damage values in this game work as the sword projectile deals 3, the sword strike deals 4, the rolling attack deals 5, and the rocket boost deals 6. So the roll and the boost are very high value attacks. So you can see every time I clear a stage, I get the clear bonus, which is always 10,000, and this life bonus of 5,000 is variable. The life bonus changes depending on how much life I have remaining. So to go as fast as possible, I actually want to try and finish all the stages with as little health remaining as possible, which again ties in with damage boosting against bosses as much as I can. So stage 2 is easily one of the most technical stages in the game. And okay, this should be fine. Okay, I'm a little out of my boost route there, so I had to readjust there. This stage has a lot of instant death hazards everywhere, and if I misplace any of my boosts, it's pretty much just an instant death in certain spots if I fall into any of the rollers. So I did have to get back on my boost route there. I'm registering a few incorrect direction inputs, but it's nothing we can't deal with. I'm fairly grateful that so far I haven't taken much damage in this stage, because the boss of this stage... Oh, that's what I mean. I almost took an instant death there. So the boss of this stage, I'm just going to take an audio cue for at the start. So I start on the very left edge, and then I wait until a certain part of the music, which means that the boss is already loaded into the stage. If I start on the right-hand side, then the boss will actually spawn off-screen, and I have to wait about 15 seconds for him to come on screen. But if I'm on the left edge, then I just wait until the boss is loaded, boost to the right, and he's already there, and immediately start attacking. That boss is very awkward to attack since you can't exploit the rocket boost too much, but had a fairly nice time of it and finished just with 1 heart remaining, which would be a life bonus of 2,000, so that's pretty okay for stage 2. Stage 3 is an extended auto-scroller for at least the first minute of it, so if there are any donations, now is a really good time to do it.
Well, that's pretty convenient. Considering we have exactly 1 donation, we have £10 from Akatas, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, with the message of, not going to be able to tune in, but good luck Agathor and Xander in the Super Mario World race.
Thanks. Yeah, good luck to Xander and Agathor when that comes up. So I mentioned that this is an auto-scroller. You can see that I'm currently not doing anything. This is actually the fastest way to tackle this screen because I can't speed this section up. I can only stand to potentially slow it down. Lag management in this game is a constant factor, and one of the things that causes lag is A, taking damage, and B, destroying enemies and generally causing effects to play. And if I destroy these enemies, then the enemies just continue to infinitely spawn, so it's generally not faster for me to actively play this section, and I can get through it fine by just using 0 inputs. I am taking little bits of damage here and there, but after the mini-boss that comes after the downslope of this mountain, I'm just going to heal all the damage right back off. So it's really of no consequence. So we're just coming up on that section right now. So this mini-boss is thankfully very simple. I'm just going to rocket boost into him 5 times and then finish him with any other attack, because I think at that point he has 1 HP remaining. I can even then, I suppose, kill him by contacting him, because contact damage is something that you can inflict in this game, but I mentioned before about the damage values. You can do like 3, 4, 5, 6. Contact damage deals 1 damage to enemies and gives them full iframe duration, so I really want to inflict as little contact damage as possible. So here's the heals that I was talking about, so that's no problem. Now we just need to descend. Every time I get off one of these robots, I'm just going to try and boost downwards as soon as possible. Mistiming a little bit, it's fine. Just got a particular route that I take there to avoid damage and get down as soon as possible. I take a bit of a swag risk here, which I probably shouldn't be doing, but that's pretty fun. If I miss an input there, then that can actually just straight up kill me, and it's more likely than you'd think, since I mentioned about all the lag that occurs in this game. As you might expect, with so many lag frames occurring, it can just completely drop your inputs. If you try and do an input on a lag frame, the input just doesn't happen. So I mentioned about damage boosting using rolling attacks on bosses. This boss is the biggest example of that. So that's a pretty okay phase 1. Okay, that's fine. I ended with a very low amount of health. I can actually afford to take a death on that boss, since the robot mech that I'm riding can attack independently of Sparkster, and there is a short period where I can try and finish the boss off with the mech's attack while Sparkster is dead. And if that happens, then you just don't die and you end the stage with 0 health, which is the optimal life bonus as well. So, stage 4, the submarine, has a lot of really technical movement, and there is an auto-scroller, like, water chase section in the middle of the stage, which I'm a little worried about with doing the wrong directional inputs on the controller, but I'm just going to have to see how it goes. I'm kind of misplaying this screen, and you can see it generates a lot of lag if you spend too much time in here, but it's fine. Okay, I picked up that health pickup. Oh man, I'm getting... Because I ended up changing my route through that first screen, I'm getting a lot more lag in general than I'm used to, so it's throwing off a lot of my inputs, but cool deal. The steam vents here aren't entirely RNG, but they're not very easy to work around and or control either. Alright, so here we go. Normally I don't even think twice about this section, but I'm going to have to actually pay attention to what I'm doing with inputs here. That's what I mean. If I do that more than once per section, then I'm probably just going to die from the water catching up with me. Okay, this one I can just diagonal through, so that's fine. We crack on. We deal with adversity. So just a little bit of straightaway fundamental movement here, and stage 4 boss coming up here has 3 distinct phases. I've got to take care of these turrets first. Then there's 1 turret on the remaining side. And now the boss's main body is going to come out, and I have plenty of health for damage boosting, so I'm just going to want to try and deal a combination of rocket boost and rolling attack hits where I can. That was actually a very fast phase 3, like I didn't miss very many hits there at all, and I've got a lot of health remaining. Yeah, as far as stage 4 bosses go, that was actually pretty clean. So, stage 5 that I'm about to enter, the Golden Pyramid, is one of the normal exclusive stages, and they definitely made a wise choice partitioning some of the stages by difficulty, because this stage is very difficult, and I would not want people playing on easy to have to deal with this stage. This is actually the shortest stage in the game because there is basically a pseudo skip that I'm going to do halfway through. It's not like a glitch or anything, it is game intended, but you're just not really meant to know that this is possible. This is meant to be a maze, but by triggering that panel twice, it just takes me straight to the mini-boss, so I've cut out about half the stage right there. So just moderating how I use my attacks there, that's optimal phase 1 kill. And now phase 2 is a lot more erratic and difficult to work with. I do want to take as little damage as I can here. This is fine because I've got another little mini skip coming up here which I can take damage on and is quite difficult to hit. Alright, nice, first try. It's a lot more difficult to get that ceiling hit than it appears because the pixel window for that really is not wide. Turn around to get a damage boost there. Now I really want to not have the wrong directions registered here. Okay, I dealt with it there. Also, that ceiling will kill me in one hit if I contact it, so I do need to be in the correct position when that happens. This boss is definitely a bit of a problem. This guy is entirely random, and he takes reduced damage from all damage sources. Like, this boss doesn't have very much HP, but he takes reduced damage from everything. I'm going to play safe here and just run away to try and conserve health. Because if I die on the boss, or really anywhere in the game, there really aren't many checkpoints in this game. I'm also getting dangerously close to breaking apart his body segments. If I deal too much damage to any part of his body, then he breaks apart, and the parts of him that are flying around just multiply. Okay, there we go. That was a pretty slow fight, but I had to make sure that I didn't take a death there. And just as soon as the boss is dealt with, I just try and get it off screen as soon as possible because it starts exploding everywhere and that just causes extra lag. So another one-heart finish. Man, this is too stressful. I'm not used to this. I did enter the boss with less health than I wanted. I have like a couple of strats to enter that fight with full health and then you can damage boost really liberally on that boss, but whatever. Okay, it's a bit of an awkward start to this mini-boss, but it'll be fine. Alright, yeah. So I don't think getting this guy off screen to reduce lag works particularly well, but there's nothing else you can do, so there's no reason to not do it. And now for these sections, I'm trying to take a very particular boost and rolling attack route to get through here in one piece. That'll do. It wasn't perfect, but that'll certainly do. There's a very tight jump input I've got coming out of this pipe, which is very easy to miss. I'll see if I can get this. Yeah, I missed that. It's only like a few frames that you have to get that, but it's not really of serious consequence if I miss it. It's just, I like to get that because it saves a little bit of time. And it also makes you spend less time in that section, which is, again, very laggy. But having the music change like halfway through this pipes, that's still decent pace, so it's not too bad. So on these sections with like these pipe portals, I'm being careful to go through specific pipes since some paths are faster, but the slower paths are a lot harder and a lot laggier, so I really want to avoid them. So this boss fight that I'm about to enter is one of the most dangerous fights in the game because this guy is the counterpart Black Knight, Axel Gear. He's the heaviest hitter in the game as far as damage goes, and he has a lot of different attacks. That is the most damaging attack that he can use, which deals a full 2 hearts of damage every time it makes contact, and because of the way that iframes and damage management actually works in this game, every time you perform a rocket boost, it resets your iframes. So if I've taken damage and I've got my iframes and then I release a boost, I won't have iframes after I exit the attack. So if you just reflexively release it wrong during a lingering enemy attack, you can take multiple hits. And if you take multiple hits on that attack, then you've suddenly lost over half your health bar. It's crazy how fast like I can do damage sometimes, but honestly, not a bad fight at all. Stage 7 is going to be another extended auto-scroller with another boss fight against Axel at the end of it, but I do need most of this stage to explain how the boss fight itself is going to work. It's a like robot mech duel in space. It's like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, which is very different to the rest of the game. But the mechanics are entirely different to everything else that the game throws at you, and it's quite difficult to manage this fight. A lot of people just flat out cannot do this fight, and they've like never cleared this game as a result of this fight, basically. Most of the attempts on this fight just seem to go the way of Axel just rushes you and punches you to death really quickly, and there's nothing you can really do about it. There's actually quite a lot going on in the fight though, and after looking around with a memory viewer, I just looked at the RAM values that determine what goes on in this fight, and I made some discoveries. Axel's mech is actually identical to yours. They both have 224 HP, and the arms also have 224 HP each. So it's not that his mech is like a lot bigger and tougher or anything, it's just that he's much better at playing the fight. And it's because the AI is more easily able to exploit the hidden damage mechanics in the fight. You attack him by using the mech's left and right punches, and the punch deals a base damage of 12 per hit, but there's a hidden mechanic where, say if you use a left punch and miss it, and then if you immediately follow it up with a right punch that hits, that will deal an increased damage up to a maximum of 20 per hit, and it ramps up more the closer that your second hit is to the first one that you missed. So what you're going to see me do when I enter the fight is I'm going to intentionally miss a lot of left hits, and then immediately follow up with rights that will hopefully hit him and keep him locked in the corner. The fight is also separated into a couple of different phases depending on his remaining HP. Phase 1 seems to be like 100% to 50% health, where he's completely random. He'll just do whatever he wants, and that is actually a very dangerous phase because he can randomly choose to enter a berserk rushing mode where he chains left and right punches together and just damages you very quickly. That can kill you extremely quickly. It can potentially result in the fastest possible fight where I can just damage race him and kill him first, because while he's doing that he's not defending, but I'm just gonna have to see what happens. Phase 2 seems to be triggered when he gets below 50% health, where he'll use a few very telegraphed attacks which are actually very easy to counter, and then after a certain amount of that he'll turtle up and just start doing nothing but defending. And phase 3 is when he reaches critical HP, like it's probably below 25% or even lower than that, and at that point he'll just enter his berserk rush and then he won't stop until I'm dead. So at that point I really need to be able to damage race him, so I want to get the first 2 phases out of the way as quickly as possible while taking as little damage as I can. So I have a bit of a movement manipulation method to try and get him in the top left corner as soon as possible, and then just damage him as much as I can. I need to like not miss any of my hits. Thankfully the shoulder buttons have been feeling really responsive, and up left is what I want to hold here, so this should hopefully go pretty well as long as I don't completely spaghetti and miss a lot of my hits. So I'm going to be entering that fight just now, and I'm just going to mentally prepare myself for this fight because this is extremely dangerous. It's very easy to take a death here, and every time I die will cost about a minute. If he uses an early berserk rush, I honestly might just turtle up and defend through it until it's over. Alright, here we go. That was an ideal fight, wow. That's one of the most perfect fights I've ever executed. I didn't like miss any of my attacks, and he was at such low HP when he entered the last phase that it was just that last hit to kill him, so wow, that was really, really clean. I'm actually really surprised that went as well as it did. So this is the final stage, stage 8. We start off with probably some of the best 3D graphics the SNES has to offer. Like, I think that's legitimately quite gorgeously rendered. Ah, feck. Alright. This is an entirely cycle-based section, and now I am out of the cycle, so I don't actually know entirely what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to have to improvise here and make sure I don't die. It's very important that I don't die here, because these missiles that look very beautiful, if they crush me or touch me in the wrong way, they will kill me in one hit, regardless of remaining HP, so I'm being very careful to not take damage here. Okay, I think I'm in the right spot here. Yeah, okay. So I ended up getting back into the cycle spot that I expected. I'd rather not take any more damage than what I've currently got, because I do want to enter the next mini-boss with full health, and from here on out I have about 3 hearts of health that I can heal. Okay, so if I play the next part of the stage without taking damage, then I can enter the mini-boss with full health, which is rather important. Please. Oh, wow, I got exhausted. So that's the exhaustion. So at least you get to see what that looks like. Don't damage me. These cycles, god, scary. Scary stuff, man. Alright, so this is the core. This fight is dangerous. I need to deal enough damage to all 4 of these crystals to destroy them. And they deal 1 heart of damage every time I contact them. So, although I'm trying to roll attack as much as possible to deal hefty damage, what I'd like to do if I can help it is damage boost on the yellow rings surrounding the arena instead, because those only deal half a heart damage every time I contact them. This is not a particularly good fight. Okay. I need to wait for this thing to exit the background now. Okay, that's fine. You can't damage the crystals while they're in the background, so that was a pretty slow fight, but we dealt with it. Also, the TV is like seizure warning stuff when that happens. It probably won't show up on the stream very much, but the TV really suffers from like, photo effects there. So I am actually coming up on the final boss, so we are coming up towards the end of the run. The final boss is another total RNG fest, so I'm really going to have to see how this fight goes. Please let me boost the right way. That'll do. Okay, I guess we'll have to deal with this. I'm currently -1 heart from theoretical maximum HP because this guy only deals damage in full heart increments. So the half heart that I have missing really doesn't make a difference to how the fight is going to go. But I'm probably going to have to play a bit safe here. Time is going to be when the boss explodes if I beat it first try. This is a pretty good start. This guy's extremely random. He has some very awful attacks that I don't want to see, but he's given me... Well, he was giving me nice pans. This is very laggy. What the hell? You have a different attack you can use, dude. Those lightning cages just deal so much lag. This is wasting so much time. Time. Alright. And I lost it.
That was a 2017.
Not bad time.
Alright, so thank you very much for the run, and we're going to go to an intermission for a bit, and then we're going to